I knew in high school education was important. I didn't have the most straight, direct path through school. But with PEF, when I got involved with the college access program, they had some just really committed people. I had a counselor in high school who was really committed to me, and then when I got to meet the team over at PEF, and at that time they were at 46 and Market. That's where we used to walk over to from West Philly there. And once they kind of got a hold of me, they didn't want to let me go. My name is Otis Hackney. I am an alum of the College Access Program, which is a part of PEF. I graduated high school back in the 1900s in 1990 from West Philadelphia High School, so I am a speed boy. And that's where I first learned of PEF when I was a senior there at West Philly High School. I had an interesting pathway through high school, and that's how I think part of the way I think of how I landed in with PEF, because I told you I had a counselor who really looked out for me. And I did go to college right after high school, but I don't know if I was ready for that yet. And so I wasn't as successful as I should have been or probably could have been, but definitely just wasn't mature enough at the time. So I dropped out of college after 2 years, and I came home. And I worked in all different types of jobs, learned how to do HVAC work. I did construction work. I cooked in kitchens. I stocked shelves overnight at department stores until I could figure out what I wanted to do. So I took a few years off. And what I didn't realize at the time is that I still had people looking out for me. And so when I decided to go back to school, I reached out to PEF. I just said, hey, I'm just going to try and see what happens. And I reached out and he reached back, and they were just like, you've only used 2 years of your scholarship, so you're still eligible to receive funds. And I didn't think that would actually happen. And so when I went to CCP, I think I did a year at CCP. I didn't stay and get my associates because I had some people there encouraging me to just go ahead and go right back into a 4-year program. And so I applied to Temple. And I did not think I would get in Temple at all. And I don't know who looked out, what looked out, who prayed for me, who passed a note, whatever it was, but I got into Temple. And that's when I knew I wanted to go into education as well, because of some other things that I was doing. And after school program, I started working with young people. But PEF was there every single step. So when I went back to CCP, they helped me. And even when I went through Temple. So for PEF having my back like that, I was shocked. I didn't think that, they would be there. You're not always, growing up, sometimes you're not used to certain organizations really meaning what they say. And I hate to say it that way, but, some people talk a good game. But PEF was definitely an organization that was just like, no, we were already committed to you, and we never let go of that commitment. You stepped away, you took some time, but we're still here. And when I say that they truly welcomed me back with open arms, some of the names had changed, some of the faces, but they never skipped a beat. And anything that I needed or questions that I had, because when I was re-entering school, it's not like I was in high school and I had counselors and people around to help me figure out how to reapply for school or how to do this and do that. They stepped in and made sure that, all the I's were dotted, all the T's were crossed. If I had questions, they helped me getting my financial aid forms and packages correct. They were there for that. And so it was just a great resource to have for someone who was returning to college and took that time off and didn't have that, or I didn't think that I had that framework or group to support me to and through. And then I learned that I actually did. So that commitment is something that I will cherish forever. And part of the reason that, education is important, because I never wanted to be an outlier from my community. So growing up in West Philly on 56th Street, you see all kinds of things growing up, and you see all the potential that people had. And anybody from Philly knows a friend of theirs or a cousin or that guy or that girl, like, man, she could have been anything or he could have been, but sometimes things happen to them or choices that are made takes them off track. And so when I went into education, I wanted to first represent as a teacher to the young people that I worked with that you could be yourself and still be educated. You can be yourself and still be professional. I would remember all the time students at Germantown, they would say, they're like, man, you just like us. Because, some of the music they listened to or, how they talked or communicated, if I needed to switch it up and just say, okay, let me be my regular self and just talk to them, they were like, you're just like us. I said, yeah, you could be just like you and still good at math. You could be just like you and still be a great writer. You can be whatever you want. You actually don't have to change who you are. Now, I would tell them sometimes you have to change your behaviors, right? Because if you want to be successful at anything, all successful people have good, positive behaviors that lead them to whatever goals. But at the core, you can still be that kid from Germantown, from West Philly, or from North Philly. Served as co-chairs for the 40th Anniversary Gala, especially considering my position as being part of the inaugural group. So it lets you know how old I am. So I've been out of high school for a while, and but to be a part of that, but to have this full circle moment, to come back to support PEF and its efforts and continued efforts to serve children in the city of Philadelphia, to do amazing work. I think, you can't measure the impact of an organization like this. I mean, we could try, but in terms of how much it actually, what it really means to young people and to their families, to be involved with PEF and helping them take those next steps, providing them resources and support and guidance and coaching and mentorship and sponsorship, as I mentioned earlier, to be successful. And you don't have to have and for young people to know that their plan doesn't have to be exact, but you have to keep moving forward. And I think that's where PEF really makes sure is that you're going to continue on a path, but we're going to keep you moving forward. It may change a little bit, but we're not going to go backwards, and we're not going to let you go backwards. And that is something that I actually experienced real time when I was on my journey. So when I think about creating opportunities for young people in the city, I've been very fortunate with the opportunities that I've had. So from being a teacher at Germantown High School was my first teaching opportunity. Actually, it's the first and only place where I was an actual teacher. And I was a math teacher in high school. So that is, can bring about its own challenges. And then I went into administration. And I was a principal in a suburban district, Springfield Township High School in Montgomery County, and then came back to Philadelphia to be principal at South Philadelphia High School. I am in the future. I didn't know that I would go into education. It's so funny when I bump into friends from high school, they were always surprised. Even when I became a teacher, they were like, you, of all people, a teacher? Yes, I was a teacher. And but understanding how adults that help young people, it's key. None of us get to where we are by ourselves. I've never met a successful person who did it all on their own. There was always someone or groups or mentors or sponsors that helped them along the way. And so it's just really important that, organization like PEF continues to do the work that it does. For the future of our city, I think the future of our country, when I think about the doors that education has opened for me, for my wife, my family, I wouldn't trade any of that I wouldn't trade it for anything. I enjoyed the journey. I enjoyed the good, the bad, the ugly. I enjoyed the struggle because it helps define who you are. But to know that you have an organization that will actually have your back through it is, like I said, it doesn't happen. And also for an organization to have that endurance to stay in place. I was chief education officer of the city of Philadelphia. I was a principal, so I've been in education in that space for 25 years plus. And I've seen organizations come and go. And so when you see an organization that actually has staying power and builds capacity over the years, because some, they peak and then they just fade out. PEF has been able to continue to grow, deepen its impact, deepen its roots in the city, hence why we're here for this 40th anniversary. And so just looking forward to the next 40 and what they're going to do with the legacy that they've built so far, but hopefully that, this is still the floor and the ceiling is still high for them.